The news day continues here on One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. The Health Department reports 17 new cases of the highly infectious Delta COVID-19 variant. This brings the total number of Delta variant cases in the country to 64. Of the 17 new Delta variant cases, 12 are local cases. One is a returning overseas Filipino, while 4 cases are currently being verified. Only 3 of the 17 new cases remain active as 14 already recovered. Now, on the other hand, 11 additional Alpha variant cases were detected. Likewise, 13 new Beta variant cases and 2 additional P3 variant cases were also detected. Now, along with this, the Health Department also reports over 6,200 new COVID-19 infections. The caseload now stands at over 1.5 million, with some 54,400 active cases. The virus killed 241 more patients overnight, pushing the death toll to over 27,000. Now, some 1.4 million, meanwhile, have recovered, with more than 6,700 recoveries today. Metro Manila mayors have decided on unified curfew hours that will be implemented beginning Sunday, July 25. In a text message, Parañaque City Mayor Edwin Olivares confirmed to One News that the new curfew hours will be from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. Olivares, who also chairs the Metro Manila Council, says the new policy will take effect indefinitely until amended. Meanwhile, the DOH COVID-19 reporting has been held back by some technical issue in the central base. Now, how will this impact the country's COVID projections? Professor Guido David of Octa Research is joining us on the line. Professor Guido, good evening.
Hi, good evening, Riza.
Sir, knowing that DOH central database has a glitch in preventing it, or thus preventing them from accurately reporting the numbers, do the daily tallies still matter at this point?
Yes, of course, Riza. They do matter. We'll just have to make some assumptions regarding the glitches. And we actually fell victim to this because when we saw the Tuesday numbers, we didn't realize there was a glitch in numbers. And that's why we made a sort of a premature projection that will hit 8,000 cases, which was actually broadcasted. But anyway, well, we're now aware that there's some glitches with the reporting, but we think that the data is still mostly, fairly accurate.
Mm-hmm. Sir, there may be adjustments when it comes to numbers when the technical issues are resolved, but how will this affect the way we interpret the COVID situation in the country, especially in the presence of the threat of the Delta variant?
Well, Riza, with the confirmation that there's local transmission of the Delta variant, and we have to assume that right now it's being locally transmitted, even in the NCR, because we're seeing some increases in cases in NCR, particularly in some LGUs. The way to approach this is to take a more cautious approach, which is to assume that there's local transmission and to act accordingly, and to assume that there's an increase in cases and to make adjustments. And that's why we support the decision of the national government to implement a GCQ with heightened restrictions and to increase the curfew hours because this is in preparation for a possible surge. We're seeing an increase in cases right now, as I mentioned, and a surge might be forthcoming if we don't do anything, and that's why we're going to be proactive in trying to control this surge.
Mm-hmm. Sir, how is this affecting Octa's research, monitoring, and projections?
Well, it will affect it somewhat because we have to make adjustments in some assumptions. But generally, we're still seeing an increase in numbers. Right now, the reproduction number in the NCR is 1.28. We believe that that's mostly accurate. And we're actually comparing it in the timeline with what happened in February. And if we go back in time, our reproduction number now is about comparable to the reproduction number in February, I think 21, yes. So the increase in reproduction number. Last week it was about 0.93. or 94. So the increase is about comparable from the to the increase from February 14 to 21.
Again, sir, some areas such as Metro Manila and Davao City are back to GCQ with heightened restrictions despite logging more COVID infections. And you said you are in favor of these restrictions?
Yes, we're actually in favor of these restrictions. And we noted that Lawag has been placed in a stricter quarantine. I'm not sure about the Cebu area because these are the main hotspots that we're seeing right now. So NCR, Lawag, and the Cebu area, I mean, that includes Cebu City, Mandaue, and Lapu-Lapu. They all have very high reproduction numbers.
Professor David, just this afternoon, Metro Manila mayors announced curfew hours. Would like to know your take on this, and what else do you think the government would have to do to improve to prevent the further spread of the Delta variant?
But I think the government is doing what it can. It has scaled up contact tracing and increased curfew hours, which we think would help a little bit. I think capacities are being reduced in line with GCQ with heightened restrictions. So capacities in establishments, indoor dining, etc. So I think the government's doing what it can, and now it's now left to the people, to the public, and we must help one another. We must help each other to battle this Delta variant. And this Delta variant has been a cause for disruption in many of our Asian neighbors like Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, and the world, the international community is probably watching us and seeing what will happen. But let's try to win this one for the Philippines and work together, and let's try to show that we can be resilient and beat this Delta variant.
Finally, sir, daily vaccine numbers are now up to nearly 500,000. Do you think this so-called population protection within the year remains feasible despite the Delta variant being present in the country?
Oh yes, actually, we're very hopeful about the vaccine rollout. What we are hearing is that in the NCR, it's close to about 20% fully vaccinated people, and that will definitely help slow down the onslaught of the Delta variant if it comes. And that means we're about halfway to the target for population protection, which is about 40% of the NCR population. So I think we're making good time, and we might be there before the holiday season. So hopefully by September or October, we'll get 40% fully vaccinated in the NCR.
Sir Guido, as always, thank you so much for your time. That's Professor Guido David of Octa Research. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. still watching One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. Pag-asa raises a yellow warning over some parts of Luzon. The warning, which means that flooding is possible in low-lying areas, is placed over the towns of San Antonio, Subic, Olongapo, and Castillejos in Zambales, as well as towns of Florida Blanca, Bao, Sasmuan, and Masantol in Pampanga and the province of Bataan. Pag-asa also forecasts light to moderate rain in Cavite, Metro Manila, Bulacan, Tarlac, Nueva Ecija, and the rest of Zambales and Pampanga within the next few hours. To get more on this, we'll have with us from Pag-asa, their weather forecaster, Mr. Ariel Rojas, is joining us. Sir, good evening.
Hi, good evening, Riza.
Sir Ariel, is this the last day of heavy rains we're going to experience, or tomorrow are we expecting more rainfall?
Unfortunately, this would not be the last day of heavy rains here in the Philippines. Again, the southwest monsoon continues to be enhanced by the former Typhoon Fabian, which has the international name of Infa, which is now closing in over the eastern coast of China. The axis or the concentration of the heavy rains will move northward as Fabian or Infa closes in on the eastern coast of China. So tomorrow and on Monday, central and northern Luzon will be experiencing the moderate to heavy rains. The threat of landslides and flash floods are still there. Metro Manila and the rest of Luzon will just be experiencing cloudy skies with scattered rain showers, but there will still be occasions with moderate to heavy rains.
Sir Rojas, parts of Luzon are flooded. Is this triggered by the enhancement of southwest monsoon, and is this supposed to persist?
That is actually correct. Yes, as mentioned earlier, the axis or the concentration of the heavy rains will persist just north of Manila over central and northern Luzon. In fact, some of our stations recorded very heavy rains for the past 5 days, from July 19 to July 23rd. Some of the stations have just recorded more than 1 month of rain dumped in just 5 days in some stations like Port area in Manila. We also have Ambulong in Batangas and in Romblon, as well as in Naiya here as well in Metro Manila. For other stations, more than 50% of a month's rainfall has been dumped in the past 5 days.
So we'd also like to get the latest on Typhoon Nepartak. Are we expecting this typhoon to enter the Philippine area of responsibility?
No, Nepartak is headed towards central part of Japan, where the Olympics is currently being held. It was last spotted some 2,960 kilometers east of extreme northern Luzon. It continues to pack winds of up to 65 kilometers per hour near its center, and with gusts reaching up to 80 kilometers per hour. Nepartak is not expected to have a direct impact on our weather.
Sir, other than, of course, the existing weather condition, are there also other low-pressure areas outside the Philippine area of responsibility? And are we expecting the rain to persist, especially on Monday, where the President will deliver his last State of the Nation address?
Expecting any other weather disturbances that may form within or enter the Philippine area of responsibility in the next 5 days. On Monday, Metro Manila will have cloudy skies with scattered rain showers and thunderstorms, but the thunderstorms will have higher frequency in the afternoon.
Well, thank you very much. That's Mr. Ariel Rojas, Pag-asa weather forecaster. Now, some LGUs suspended their vaccination rollout today due to inclement weather. Caloocan City Mayor Oscar Malapitan announced that they won't vaccinate residents today due to heavy rain and expected aftershocks caused by the earthquake. He only inoculated residents who were already lining up for the vaccine this morning. The vaccination rollout in Caloocan will continue on Monday. Pasay LGU also suspended its vaccine activities today. They told their residents to wait for further announcements. Meanwhile, in Bacoor, Cavite, only the vaccination operation in SM Bacoor was halted. Residents can still get their vaccine shots in other sites. Now, several municipalities and provinces in the country were inundated due to Typhoon Fabian in Habagat. In Oriental Mindoro, the Philippine Coast Guard rescued residents in Barangay Mulawin in the town of Nawan Friday. They were mostly children and adults who were trapped in their homes due to flash floods. Nearly 700 residents of Calapan town have been evacuated. In Cainta, Rizal, murky flood waters turned red. A resident of Felix subdivision tells News 5 they were surprised the water turned a different shade this morning. And in Albay, 10 crew members of the capsized Island Breeze motorboat were rescued this morning. Boat captain Eric Odenya said they were headed to Claveria Island when they were battered by strong waves. The Philippine Coast Guard says all rescued crew members are in good physical condition. FIBA has announced that there will be an equal number of men and women athletes, official and personnel in the Tokyo Olympic 3-on-3 basketball tournament. In a statement, FIBA Secretary General Andreas Zaglis said that the promotion of women in basketball is one of the 3 strategic priorities of FIBA for the 2019-2023 cycle. Zaglis added that they wanted to use the Olympic stage to send a strong message for parity. The 8 men's team and 8 women's team will compete in Tokyo. Likewise, there will be an equal amount of men and women referees in the games. The gender equity concept will also extend to 2 more sports supervisors, 2 DJ and 4 MCs. Now, for more updates, visit News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World Online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on Signal Play app. Register for a free account now, www.signalplay.com, and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Riza Diaz. We are One News.
Remaining. It's a cause for concern, I'm sure, for Coach Topex. Might want to take him out for a bit, but again, you're on offense. You are on defense, so he might get another foul. So you might want to change him.
That's why Jake's running.
Correct. Good
Jake
call.
ran.
Yeah.